just being a superstar already here locally at the high school level and then taking that now to the college level. I'm expecting big things. I know a lot of people are from this guy. And, you can tell what he's all about, I think, just from talking to him a little bit. And, dude, if he's who the recruiting guys think he could be, then, man, you're talking about adding another possible difference maker in there with, obviously, CMB. It keeps grabbing my attention how much, if you listen to Lamont Paris talk, he says things about CMB like, hey, we still got more upside to go here. Like, this thing ain't even close to where it can be.
Sure.
So when CMB was really on last year, he was an absolute difference maker, and that's as a true freshman. What can that guy be with an entire year? And we already know he's a worker. We know he carries himself the right way. What can he be after an entire year when you add in a guy like Cam Scott? I know they're going to have to replace some pieces as well. We know that. But bring in a Nick Pringle, bring in some other guys from the portal. It'll be a different team. I think that much is clear already. They're going to be structured a little bit differently. They'll be, I think, there's no BJ Mack.
Right.
But they're going to be a good bit more athletic. Somebody brought it up to me. I don't know if BJ Mack had a slam dunk last year.
I don't recall one off the top of my head.
So this is your big man,
Sure.
In terms of playing above the rim, and BJ could step out, which was his big thing, obviously. He expanded the defense, which is a different skill set. But, man, they're going to be athletic, I feel like, in terms of just their big men. Maybe the most athletic group we've seen there in a long time.
And like with Conroy Boyles this past season, again, he dealt with the mono thing at the beginning of the year, so he was out because of that. But everything that we heard about him leading into the season was he was going to play a major role. And as soon as he got healthy enough to come back at the end of the non-conference play there, he immediately started making an impact, immediately got in the starting lineup after a few games, replacing Stephen Clark. And I'll be interested to see what the process of bringing Cam Scott along is, and if he's somebody that could factor into that starting role as the season goes along as well.
You got to think he's going to be in that mix. Now, you do have a veteran guy in Jacoby Wright, who I think has meant a lot to this program already. He's been a glue guy. He's a guy who can come off the bench. He's a guy who can start or has started when guys have been injured, and just is kind of what college athletics is all about. Like, it's a guy that I think you want to reward someone who's done things the right way and stuck around. So you can't dismiss the thought or the idea of Jacoby being a starter. That said, I think you look at Cam Scott, just the pedigree here, the talent, the athleticism, the work ethic. It's going to be, whether it's coming off the bench, whether it's as a starter, which I imagine, I believe it'll be as a starter, frankly. This guy's going to make an impact. Like, I think you'd be far more surprised if he didn't make a big impact than if he does. I think, we talk about in our football conversations all the time, we talk about there's levels to everything. He's going to make an impact.
Sure.
The question is, to what level? What is realistic? We talked all offseason about what are realistic expectations for Lenore Sellers. Is it realistic for – I think the big question here is like, all right, does he play, make an impact, and he's more of like a role guy? Mm-hmm. Or does he play, make an impact, and it's more like, wow, we're going to run the offense through this guy?
Well, there's no denying, and like you brought up a moment ago, obviously a kid that seems, wise beyond his years, very mature, which kind of fits the mold of what Lamont Paris has made this team to be. Obviously brings in a lot of veterans from the transfer portal in the couple seasons that he's been here. You have a guy like CMB, who again is only going into his sophomore year this year, but seems like a very mature and wise kind of kid, and Cam Scott kind of fits that same mold. So it's the brand of what this team is, which is very much the personality of what Lamont Paris is as a coach, that we're seeing these guys come in that really match what he's trying to do.
I know fans maybe don't get as much into this part, but I do think even in the transfer portal era, maybe even more so, having team camaraderie, having a gelled locker room, having guys that get along on and off the court, it does still matter. And so I think that was a huge part of their sort of surprise success. I don't know if they would call it surprise success over there in the building, but outsiders certainly would. and maybe even over there in the building, to the extent, again, talking about levels, to the level in which they're competing right to the end for the SEC, and are tied in the standings for second, I believe, with where they finished. So yes, that was a big part of what they were all about, I think, as a program. So if you're Lamont Paris, you don't have the overseas trip in order to sort of use to kind of massage those relationships. That's something that I think was big for them last year. But I do like how Lamont early on, in the summer, he's like, let's just get on the court and play. It's not let's be super structured. Let's work on concepts all summer and just kind of be boring all summer. Let's just get out there and scrimmage and play ball and make mistakes, get to know each other's tendencies, and then as we get closer and closer to the season, we'll lock this thing down and we'll start to talk a little bit more about concepts and how you're supposed to do things within the confines of what they want to do from a scheme standpoint.
And obviously last year, we know they played the entire season with that chip on their shoulder of, people doubting them going into the season. They used that as their motivating piece that eventually led them into the NCAA tournament for the first time since that Final Four run back in 2017. But now you go into a year where the expectations are going to be a lot higher. I don't know if people are going to pick them to be in the mix for the SEC regular season championship again going into last week like they had last year, but they should at the very least be one of those top half teams in the SEC that people are talking about once again making the NCAA tournament. So it's like, okay, now how do you deal with being a team that's expected to get there as opposed to one that was being overlooked last year?
Well, I think the national guys have already gifted South Carolina with plenty of bulletin board material. Like if last year you thought there was a lot of bulletin board material with them being picked dead last in the SEC, you could argue there's even more this year in that you proved you could do it. You took a huge step forward. It was the best turnaround in school history in men's basketball, and you're still not getting picked in like the top 40
sure
by some national guys. I mean, they're going to look at you and say, oh, wow, they lost Michi, they lost Talon, they lost BJ. This team will take a step back. So I don't know if you want to go back to the, what was the famous Lamont quote? Come on, Tyler, you have the
what, if you're going to pick at least pick us to finish dead last, wasn't it?
No,
I think it was 13th, right?
I'm talking about the one in the middle of the season that they'll make them pay.
Oh, yeah.
You have a photographic memory, Tyler. You remember everything.
I can't remember exactly what he said, but I know what you're talking about.
That was the best quote of the year.
It was good. In fact, I'm actually looking at Lenardi's projected bracketology as of right now. I don't think he actually has South Carolina in
I'm telling you,
the field of 68.
They're already being dismissed, which is, if you want to take the Kirby Smart school of just
nobody believes in us.
Nobody believes. You don't even have to make it up like Kirby does.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. We'll certainly see what happens.
Greater expectations, to your point, here in Columbia.
Oh, for sure. No, once you've made the tournament, it's like, okay, get back there and let's get to the second round. Let's get into the Sweet 16. Like, let's take it a little bit further. But last year was obviously a step in the right direction, and excited to see what happens here in right at about 2 months' time when the season gets started in early November. We'll jump back into the football conversation coming up next. For the first time ever, South Carolina's had to put out an availability report. And the new rule in the SEC. We'll dive into what South Carolina's and Kentucky's said ahead of this weekend. It's coming up next. It's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling on your Thursday here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the Sports Minute. Finally, the road to Super Bowl 59 begins tonight as the Chiefs open their title defense against the Ravens in a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Now, Kansas City will miss wide receiver Marquise Brown for this one, out with a shoulder injury. Baltimore is as physical as ever and added Derrick Henry. I don't see Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid losing back-to-back home openers. I know Baltimore is tough, but I'm going to take Kansas City 27-23, therefore covering the number. I'm Boomer Esiason.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-213-5757. 800-213-5757.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
The Gamecock Club Hour with Gamecock Central, presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating on the Network.
Welcome back in, Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, along with you on your Thursday here. As I mentioned before the break, first time ever, we have availability reports in the SEC. New rule coming down from the conference that for conference matchups, at least, both teams do have to provide an injury report on the Wednesday before and about 90 minutes before kickoff on Saturday as well. So we get a full scope of who's available and who's not going into the weekend. I never asked you and Chris about this when this rule became official the other week. Is this how does this help you guys? You for it, against it? I know for years, coaches have been kind of coy when it comes to availabilities of players and stuff.
I like it, honestly. I think it is hilarious, though, that the SEC, like, you have to have them in by 8 o'clock, and the SEC, like, waited till the very last second to put it out last night. I think they have to put them out every day.
Is it every day?
I think it's Wednesday. Starting on Wednesday. You have an update Thursday, Friday,
and then the final one is Saturday, 90 minutes before kickoff. Okay.
And I think it changes a little bit on the 90 minutes before kickoff one. So right now you're talking about your typical, your doubtful, questionable, probable, or out, which is kind of traditional words you use. And then I think once you get to game day, it's more like available, out, or game time decision when you get to that 90-minute window. So I think it's a good thing. Now, they still don't list. I'll be curious to see by getting more information, do we in turn also get less information? And what I mean by that is this list tells you, for example, for South Carolina, Ja'Kai Moore out, as we knew. Emory Floyd, doubtful. That's maybe a little – he didn't play this past week, but maybe a little bit more on the harsher side than you thought that injury might be. Bengali Kamara and Gilbert Edmond, who we didn't even know, I don't think, had issues. They're questionable. David Spalding, questionable. Brian Thomas Jr., who did not play in the game Saturday, probable. So basically, probable is like 75% chance you're going to play. Questionable is 50-50. Doubtful is like 25% chance you're going to play. Out is out. Well, we also, because of the way you're doing it now, you're just putting it out as a list.
Sure.
It doesn't say what the injury is. It doesn't say how long they're out. And so now our coach is going to be like, refer to my availability report. Like, will they say less about it? So before they were not made to tell you anything, but most of them would at least give you like, well, you know, Ja'Kai Moore, we regret to inform you, is going to be out for a while. So we knew, okay, Ja'Kai is going to be a while. We found out that A.J. Parks was going to be out for a while. Zabari Sandy. And how do you have to, obviously, I guess you don't. Do you have to list the guys that has been publicly reported in the past or like already out for the year? Clearly you don't, because Zabari Sandy not on here.
I was going to say, that was my question about A.J. Parks, that he's not listed on this, but when, you know, he's talking about Ja'Kai Moore getting injured, he said both those guys would be out for a while, so maybe it is a thing with public knowledge. You don't have to, I don't know, it's a new thing. Again, first one came out yesterday, and we'll get them in the days leading up to this game against Kentucky. I'll say this, Carolina's list is a whole lot shorter than Kentucky's is, and namely at the top of that list is Chip Trainum, who was their projected number one running back coming into the year, transfer over from Ohio State, broke his hand during camp, and we knew it was going to be kind of iffy if he was going to come back for this game because his projected timeout was about 4 weeks, which would have potentially made him available. But again, earlier this week, they're saying he's not going to be a go this weekend for South Carolina.
4 weeks seems kind of aggressive. Am I wrong on that? Like, and I know they're different sports. I know when the baseball guys, when they break their hands, it's normally like 6 to 8 weeks, I think. And every, I'm not saying, like, every injury can be different.
Sure.
But that seemed aggressive. And now the fact that he's not even listed as doubtful. He's listed as out.
Yeah.
If you're listed as out and you're a starter,
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Like, you're nowhere close, right? Like, if there was any chance, then you would think he'd be listed as doubtful.
Yeah.
And he's completely out. So that is a factor in this game, I think. I like Sumo Karngbe. I liked him out of NC State. He visited South Carolina at one point, and they didn't really push for him. I think he's got some talent. I think you got to get him in space, move him around a little bit. I was listening to Cole Kubelik's podcast. It's a fantastic listen, by the way, if you want to dive into what every SEC team did in a particular week. And Cole, man, he breaks it down. He gets in it. He was at the Kentucky game. He was a sideline guy for that one. And he likes Sumo Karngbe. He's not quite as sure about their depth at running back now that you've kind of chipped away at it. I think if you had Chip Trainum and Karngbe, you would probably say, they feel pretty good about these two guys. I think they have another kid who had a decent day.
Jason Patterson, the true freshman.
Yeah, but then I wonder once you get past that, maybe that's kind of what he's talking about. So that would be something to track in a game where you're kind of looking for where are some potential advantages for South Carolina. And again, Kentucky O-line that wasn't quite as good last year, in my opinion. Looked pretty good Saturday, but I don't know what that tells us. I don't know what we know. I know Eric Wolford is back there, and we're going to learn a decent amount, I think, about their O-line and Carolina's front. We know Carolina's front's pretty good, but we're going to learn just how good, I think.
Yeah, and I think going into this matchup, we still have a lot of questions about both sides because they're both pretty comparable given the fact that a lot of their position groups have changed via the transfer portal, brought in a lot of new talent that, for Carolina, we saw 4 quarters of on Saturday, but for Kentucky, you only saw about not even quite 2.5. So still a lot of questions about what exactly this Kentucky team's going to be. And, what does it mean for Brock Vandegrift starting his first SEC game? Because we've focused on that aspect so much when it comes to the Norris Sellers, but you have the same thing on the other side with a guy in Brock Vandegrift that has never started against this level of competition in his career up to this point. So get me interested to see how all that plays out on Saturday. And again, we can't understate the importance of this game for both sides, but obviously for South Carolina of trying to start the season 2-0 and getting one of those coveted at least 6 wins you need to get to a bowl game, which we know is not easy given their schedule.
We've kind of mentioned this game as a toss-up all off season. The line now is 10. Like, if you'd have told me going into the season, even with this game being in Lexington, that the line would be 10, I would have been surprised, honestly. So, obviously, people that have maybe watched these two teams in week 1, they've driven this line up into the double digits. It was very early on, the very first lines from FanDuel, it was like 6.5 when it opened. If you told me preseason that's where it would be, that's believable to me. But obviously the public was not impressed with the win over ODU and liked what they saw from Kentucky. And I do think, honestly, guys, like this is an improved Kentucky team in my opinion. Like, Carolina is going to have to go play well if they're going to win this game. There's been a lot of talk back and forth. Beamer saying, hey, O-line definitely looked improved. Some fans still not as happy with the O-line. You did catch Dow Loggins yesterday, though. He said the O-line and the offense in general, obviously, going to have to play better, regardless of how you feel about it, going to have to play better than they did against Old Dominion, against Kentucky, if you're going to win the game.
Definitely so. And we'll let you hear a little bit of what Dow Loggins and Clayton White had to say yesterday to the media ahead of the Kentucky game coming up on Saturday. We'll jump into that coming up next on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. This has been the Gamecock Club Hour, though, presented by Crance Heating and Cooling. Thanks to Cam Scott for giving us 2 minutes of his time as well on this Thursday. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour coming up next here on the game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Yep, Tyler just told you about our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating, and since 1983, they have been providing outstanding services to folks like you right here in the Midlands. Any HVAC needs that you may have, they can take care of it for you. And I can tell you personally, they have been to my home. They've been to my mom's home out in the Irmo area. They put in not 1, not 2, but 3 mini splits between our 2 families in our garage, in a bedroom. If you're having problems cooling a space, if you're having problems with one of your AC units that you currently have, they can help you with all of that. Free second opinion on coil leaks and compressors. Family-owned business, again, since 1983. Shout out to Justin Krantz, General Manager of Krantz Cooling. KrantzCooling.com. That's Krantz with a K, Cooling with a K. KrantzCooling.com. Or give their helpful, friendly, family-owned business a call. 803-672-3224. All of your HVAC needs here in the Midlands, you can trust Krantz Cooling to take care of them.
Nothing slows down a job like not having the right equipment. Maybe your favorite zero-turn or push-mower is getting repaired right now. Or maybe you want to take advantage of some dry weather to finally aerate or dethatch your lawn. Or maybe you just want a great excuse to mow with our super cool Gravely EV. Either way, come to Cato's, where we have a ton of new rental equipment available for daily, weekly, and monthly rentals. Cato's Power Equipment is here to bring you solutions to keep your yard or your customer's yard looking their best. Give us a call at 803-254-3711.
Paul Grant here, Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss. We are celebrating our 1-year anniversary. We are continuing our mission to help you realize the joy and satisfaction of achieving healthy weight loss permanently. Now is the time for you and your family to get on the road to better health.
That's right, Paul. I'm Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game, and Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss did wonders for my weight loss journey and helping me achieve my goal. But losing weight doesn't have to be an individualized experience. And to celebrate 1 year of successful operation here in the Midlands, Columbia's Secret for Weight Loss is offering a buy one, get one free deal up to September 30th. So you can go through this life-changing process with a friend or a family member. But don't wait. Time is running out.
We teach your body to burn fat, the way you're supposed to. Learn how to lose up to 1 pound of fat per day. Not only can you lose your weight and hit your goal, but now you have the real potential to keep it off permanently. To schedule your free consultation, visit ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. That's ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com.
Results may vary.
Autumn is almost here. They're getting ready for the change of the season at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. They're celebrating with amazing deals on floor samples, closeouts, and overstocks. Whether you're looking to upgrade your ceiling fans or add a new one to your space, Dan's Fan City has you covered. Stop by their store or give them a call at 781-FANS to take advantage of these fantastic offers. Don't miss out on the chance to save big and elevate your home's comfort and style with Dan's Fan City on Harbison Boulevard.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.